Have you ever felt the strange tug of something you couldn't quite name? Like standing in a crowd and suddenly realizing the weight of 1,000 invisible lives pressing against yours? It's not just you. There's a word for that. Number 13. Sonder. Coined by John Koenig in the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, sonder describes a quiet, disorienting realization. Picture yourself walking down a bustling street, coffee in hand, preoccupied with your thoughts. You're in your own little world. Then, without warning, something shifts. Your mind opens up to a haunting truth. Every single person around you lives a life as vivid and intricate as yours. That old man waiting by the crosswalk, he has memories of a first love, a loss he never talks about, a favorite song that reminds him of summer in the 70s. The teenager on her phone, she's messaging someone she shouldn't be. Everyone is tangled in stories full of layered experiences, inside jokes, secret regrets, longings, and memories. And in the vast majority of these narratives, you're a mere background blur. That moment of overwhelming awareness? That's sonder. It's eerie, a silent shattering of ego, a reminder that you're not the center of the universe, and never were. You start seeing the world differently. That man at the bus stop may be anxiously waiting for an update from his sister in the hospital. That girl laughing on the sidewalk might be clinging to joy while hiding her pain. Everyone's main character energy is colliding all around you, but in silence, and somehow that silence is deafening. You won't find sonder in official psychology textbooks, but it's very much alive in how we experience empathy. Therapists speak of it during emotional development exercises. Neuroscientists link it to ego dissolution and the calming of the brain's default mode network, the part that makes you feel like the center of everything. And once you've felt it, you can't unfeel it. You begin to recognize people not as extras, but as entire universes, complex, breathing worlds of thought and feeling that you'll never fully access. Number 12. L'appel du vide. The French phrase l'appel du vide translates to the call of the void. But don't mistake it for something morbid. This isn't about a desire for death. It's about the strangeness of a mind that, in moments of peace, suddenly whispers chaos. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. It's calm, beautiful. The breeze kisses your face. The sky stretches endlessly. And out of nowhere, a quiet voice in your head says, "Jump." You're not suicidal. You're not in distress. But the thought appears anyway, sharp, jarring, and senseless. This could also happen while you're driving and feel the sudden urge to veer off the road, or when you're holding something valuable and briefly imagine letting it drop. These intrusive thoughts flash through your mind like a lightning bolt you never asked for, and they shake you to your core. That's l'appel du vide. It isn't a death wish. It's a strange mental glitch, an unexpected check-in from your own subconscious. Researchers believe it's your brain's way of reaffirming your will to live, a mental pop-up that silently asks, "Are you sure you want to survive?" And paradoxically, those who experience it are usually mentally stable. It's now viewed as a sign of strong cognitive control, a system test, not a system crash. But that doesn't make it feel any less disturbing. It's as if your subconscious briefly plays out the darkest option imaginable, just to prove you don't want it. The result? A shaky breath, a moment of stunned silence, and a lingering chill that makes you ask, "What was that?" You can call it fear, or awe, or a weird emotional glitch, but now at least you know it has a name. Number 11. Amai. There's a certain kind of longing that doesn't scream or beg, it whispers. It's not about being loved or rescued. It's about being gently held, emotionally, without ever having to ask. In Japanese, there's a word for this, amai. Have you ever just wanted to fall apart a little bit? Just enough that someone else notices and steps in to hold the pieces? That's amai. It's the quiet wish to be cared for, emotionally nurtured, cradled by someone's presence and patience. It's not neediness, It's not romantic love. It's gentler than all that. It's the hope that you can be someone's little worry and not feel guilty about it. In Japanese culture, amai is not only accepted, it's studied and valued. Psychologists see it as a natural, healthy part of emotional closeness. But in Western society, we've built walls around our vulnerability. We dismiss these feelings as clingy, immature, even codependent. And then we wonder why so many people feel emotionally isolated, touch-starved, and afraid to ask for help. You can see ame in the smallest of moments. When a child pretends to be asleep just so their parent will carry them. When someone rants, not to be corrected, but simply to be heard. When you secretly wish someone would take a task off your plate. Not because you can't do it, but because it would feel nice if they did. It's not weakness, it's trust. A subtle way we ask, "Can I rest in your care for a moment?" And sometimes, we just want to fall into someone without falling apart. Number 10. Zillschmerz. This German word literally translates to goal pain, and it captures a feeling most people have experienced but rarely name. You set a goal. You give it everything. You grind, you sacrifice. You chase it like your life depends on it, and then you get there, and it feels hollow. That strange ache, that deflating, "is this all there is?" feeling is Zellschmerz. It's the emptiness after success. The subtle sadness that creeps in once the finish line has been crossed. Maybe it's the promotion, the degree, the milestone. You thought it would fix something, fill something, complete something. But instead, you're left with the realization that the journey felt more meaningful than the destination ever could. German has a curious way of naming emotions you didn't know were real until someone said them out loud. Zillschmerz is one of its most haunting contributions. Psychologists are now using it to rethink how we understand motivation. Because maybe we're not only driven by achievement, but by meaning. And when a goal lacks soul, no amount of success can make it satisfying. You'll see this feeling in top athletes, successful entrepreneurs, high achievers, the people who appear to have it all, yet carry a quiet void inside. But you don't have to be rich or famous to feel it. Sometimes, it's as simple as whispering to yourself, "I really thought this would fix me." Zillschmerz reminds us that sometimes the thing we're chasing is just a distraction from what we actually need. And number 9, dépeignement. The French word for displacement, or more precisely, disorientation. You know the feeling. You step off the plane into a foreign country. The moment you inhale, even the air feels different. The smells are unfamiliar, the streets are arranged in odd angles, the signs might as well be ancient code. The currency in your hand looks like toy money, strangely glossy or paper thin. Even gravity itself seems to behave differently, and deep within you, there's a subtle, yet undeniable shift, like you've been lifted out of your own body and placed into someone else's dream. That sensation, that dreamlike dislocation, is called dépassement. It's not just about being lost geographically. It's about feeling untethered from your own cultural identity. You can still speak your language, you can still find food, even navigate the city, but somewhere in the back of your mind a quiet voice insists, "You don't belong here." It's as if you're a guest in someone else's reality, operating by rules you don't fully understand. Psychologists have long studied dépassement, especially in the fields of expat psychology, cross-cultural adaptation, and identity science. For some people, it's a thrill, the rush of anonymity, the joy of being unknown and unknowable in a new world. But for others, it quietly gives way to unease, not because anything bad is happening, but because nothing feels quite real. Have you ever had that eerie sensation in a dream where everything is almost normal, but not quite? That's the same psychological tension. When the rules shift, your brain has to ask, "Who am I in this place?" And sometimes, you just don't know. Number 8, yugen, a Japanese word that captures the profound and poetic feeling that defies language. You're standing alone, watching a gentle mist drift across a quiet mountain. Or maybe you see moonlight shimmering in a shallow puddle, or the final sliver of orange sky just before twilight fades into stars. Then suddenly, without warning, emotion floods in. It isn't joy, and it isn't sorrow. It's something in between, a soft ache at the back of your heart. That feeling is Jin. It's the recognition of a beauty so subtle, so fleeting, that it almost hurts. Japanese culture holds this aesthetic as sacred. Not the kind of beauty that screams for attention, but the quiet kind that slips in under the radar and steals your breath when you're not looking. It's the elegance of shadows, the poetry of passing things. Western psychology has only recently begun exploring emotions like Jin. Neuroscientists are now discovering that our brains become highly active when exposed to things we can't fully explain. Moments of mystery, not confusion. Our nervous system responds with wonder, not fear. Jung doesn't demand to be noticed. It exists quietly, in the ripple of water, the breeze through tall grass, or the way candlelight dances across a dark room. You feel it in the moments that take your words away. And when you try to explain it, you realize you can't. Not really. That's the beauty of it. Number 7. Schnapsidee, a German word that literally translates to booze idea. It's 2:00 a.m. You and your friends are a few drinks in and someone shouts, "Let's buy a boat," or "Get matching tattoos," or "Quit your jobs and start a glow-in-the-dark noodle empire." In that exact moment, it sounds like absolute brilliance, genius even. But once the sun comes up, not so much. That right there is a Schnapsidee, an idea that only seems brilliant when you're intoxicated. Literally, a booze idea. But here's where it gets interesting. Cognitive scientists are now paying attention to these moments, not to mock them, but to study them. Alcohol, it turns out, lowers your brain's prefrontal inhibition, the part of your mind that quickly shoots down wild, risky thoughts. When that filter goes offline, strange and creative ideas get a chance to slip through. This is why unexpected ideas often arise not only during drunken conversations, but also in the shower, during emotional breakdowns, or long walks alone at night. When your mental defenses relax, your weirdest, boldest notions come forward. Of course, most Schnapsideen are laughably bad, but some are sparks of brilliance. You won't know until you test them, preferably with a strong coffee in hand instead of tequila. That messy napkin drawing might be the next great invention, or just a really bad tattoo. Either way, it started with a Schnapsidee. Number 6. Mono no aware, a Japanese phrase that captures the bittersweet impermanence of all things. You're watching children play in a sunlit yard. Their laughter rises unburdened. You smile and then a strange sadness washes over you. Not because anything is wrong, but because it's all slipping by too quickly. That ache, gentle but undeniable, is mono nowhere. It's the tender awareness that every beautiful moment is also temporary, the sweetness of now, sharpened by the knowledge that it won't last. In Japan, this feeling is symbolized by cherry blossoms. They bloom brilliantly and within days fall softly to the ground. People gather just to witness this fleeting display, not to mourn it, but to celebrate it. Not to cling to permanence, but to honor the impermanence. Psychologists today are studying mono nowhere in the context of grief, nostalgia, and time perception. It turns out this emotion helps us process life more fully. It doesn't ask us to avoid change, but to appreciate the very thing we're about to lose. It teaches us to love more deeply, not in spite of endings, but because of them. Mono no awe isn't about sadness, it's about presence. It's the silent weight behind a goodbye, the quiet magic behind a fading photograph, the inner voice that whispers, "This is beautiful because it's already ending." Number 5. Saudade, a Portuguese word for a longing that goes deeper than missing. There's a kind of absence that doesn't feel like waiting. It feels like mourning. that aching pull in your chest, the sense of loving something or someone who's no longer there, or perhaps never truly was. That's saudade. It's more than nostalgia, it's the love that continues in the face of absence. It's remembering an old song that reminds you of a friend who changed, or a place you once called home. It's feeling the presence of someone who isn't physically present anymore. Portuguese speakers use saudade for ex-lovers, lost relatives, childhood memories, or even for moments they wish had happened but never did. It's love wrapped in memory, wrapped in grief. But strangely, it's not always sorrowful. Sometimes it feels warm, like hugging a ghost. A way to keep something alive simply by refusing to forget. Psychologists describe saudade as a uniquely human blend, part grief, part love, part hope. It's often compared to homesickness, but deeper, more soulful. In Brazil, whole songs are built around it. In Portugal, it's toasted to in conversations. Across the world, many feel it, they just never knew what to call it. Now you do. Number 4. Kokokepu, a Finnish word that names something oddly familiar to many of us. You're scrolling through your feed and see a photo. Maybe it's the snowy peaks of Iceland, the golden dunes of Morocco, or a fog-kissed village in the Swiss Alps. And just like that, something tugs at your chest. It's not simply, I want to go there. It's deeper, stranger. It feels more like, I think I already miss it. That unexplainable ache, that's kaukokaipu. It's more than wanderlust or curiosity. It's a form of homesickness for a place your body has never touched. Finnish speakers use kaukokaipu to describe a mystical, nostalgic pull toward faraway lands, places that seem familiar though you've never set foot there. Somewhere distant, romanticized, and hazy around the edges, like your soul is remembering a home your passport forgot. Neuroscientists have started linking this sensation to the brain's default mode network, the same area responsible for daydreaming, imagination, and memory construction. When we see a distant place, our minds don't just observe, they fill in emotional details, invent familiarity, and sometimes even grief. It's as if your heart writes a history with a place you've never been, and then mourns the absence. That's what kaukokaipu is. The craving makes no rational sense, and yet it feels completely real. It's why you find yourself searching for flights at 2 a.m. or tearing up during aerial drone videos of mountaintops you've only seen on screen. You're not just curious, you're not just restless. Somehow, you're remembering something that never happened and missing it anyway. Number 3. Frisson, the French word for a sudden chill or thrill. You're listening to music. The chorus builds, the singer's voice cracks in just the right way, and suddenly, goosebumps. A chill races down your spine. Your skin tingles like you just brushed against the divine for half a second. That electrifying moment is called frisson. It's a brief, full-bodied reaction, often triggered by emotion, not temperature. Most commonly, it's sparked by music. Maybe it's the unexpected drop of a beat, a perfect harmony, or a sudden lyric that slices straight through you. Your body says, whoa, before your brain even catches up. But frisson isn't limited to music. A scene in a film, a line in a poem, or even a vivid memory can trigger it. Researchers now understand frisson as a neuroemotional event. It activates the brain's reward system, dopamine, adrenaline, even oxytocin. It's what happens when you expect something ordinary but get something beautiful instead. You can't force a frisson. It comes in the quiet space between expectation and surrender, when your conscious mind lets go and something inside you just feels. For a brief instant, you're not thinking, you're not analyzing, you're simply alive, fully present, overwhelmed in the best way possible. Number 2, notice tollens, a literary term that's now gaining traction in psychology. You're sitting alone, maybe in your room, maybe in your car, and a strange realization lands on you like a weight. The story you've been telling yourself about who you are, where you're going, it suddenly doesn't make sense anymore. The narrative feels broken. That moment is notice tollens. the unsettling awareness that your personal plotline no longer matches who you are or what you want. The arc has snapped. The main character you feels off script. The next chapter is missing. You start wondering, am I even in the same book anymore? It's not about failure. It's not about regret. It's something more subtle. A quiet kind of heartbreak born from disconnection. Maybe you've outgrown the dream you spent years chasing. Maybe you're performing someone else's expectations. Or maybe you've just woken up to the idea that the ending you were moving toward doesn't excite you anymore. Therapists and narrative psychologists are beginning to explore this as a genuine emotional phenomenon, a sort of identity glitch, a moment when your inner compass stops pointing anywhere familiar. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also powerful. Because once you realize the plot has broken, you gain something rare, the power to rewrite it. Not the past, but the next page. And maybe that's where your real story begins. Number 1, chronosensitivity. Not yet an official diagnosis, but increasingly discussed in psychology and philosophy circles. You're brushing your teeth, scrolling on your phone, driving to work, and suddenly a wave of awareness hits you. Time is moving too fast. Way too fast. There are too many days behind you and not enough ahead. Your childhood feels like a blur. Your parents are aging, and you're watching your own life slip past, like scenery outside a speeding train window. That sensation, that tight feeling in your chest, that's chronosensitivity, an emotional response to the passage of time. The name comes from Kronos, the Greek god of time, who, in myth, devoured his own children as he moved forward. And that's what this emotion feels like. The gentle horror of time consuming everything you love. But this isn't fear of death. It's not a panic attack. It's softer than that. A kind of existential ache. The sorrow of watching beautiful moments vanish before you can hold on to them. A nostalgic grief for the present, even as it happens. Psychologists sometimes call it temporal distress, or existential time compression. Whatever you name it, once you've felt it, you'll never look at life quite the same again. You begin to notice the smallest things. Your breath, the sound of your heartbeat in the quiet, your reflection in the mirror. You try to slow down, not because you're afraid, but because something deep inside you realizes time won't wait. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos, so subscribe to see them.